Good evening, race fans. Welcome back once again. It is time for round 2 of the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercars series. This is season 4, and tonight we find ourselves nowhere else, of course, but Bathurst. The Mount Panorama circuit lies ahead for this evening, and I hope you are ready this evening for one of the toughest challenges, not just in sim racing, but in racing in general. The legendary Mount Panorama. Bathurst, of course, a circuit that demands respect from everyone who sets foot on it. There's a tight mountain section, high-speed Conrod Straight. Look, ultimately, it's all about surviving the walls, mastering the mountain and claiming victory, but of course, only the very bravest of drivers can conquer this mountain. It has a very special place in Australian motorsport history, and for very good reason. Welcome back once again to the coverage. On behalf of everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, we'd like to say a very big hello to everyone coming back once again for the coverage this week. Our delayed broadcast here from this week's round, and my name, of course, Jared Cole. I'm joined in the booth by none other than Josh Harris. Josh, welcome back in. Mate, it's Supercars at Bathurst. What else could you ask for, right?
Thank you very much for having me, Jared. I'm incredibly excited to be here. Friday night, delayed broadcast. Hopefully some of our drivers in the chat causing a bit of mayhem, and the spiritual home of Australian motorsport at Mount Panorama. There's no better recipe. I don't care what anyone else is doing tonight or where they are. They will not convince me that there's a better spot to be than right here, watching these guys doing their very best to get around this track as fast as possible without meeting any of the number of walls that he's just calling out their name, asking to get a little bit better acquainted with them.
And let's face it, you and I both have a long and storied history of putting cars into walls here on iRacing's Bathurst track, don't we? It's not exactly known as one of the safest racetracks around.
No, absolutely not. I think that's one of the things, Jared, that makes it such an appealing racetrack. It's long, it's very, very fast. People forget when they look at how tight and how steep the top of the mountain is. They forget just how fast it is. Frequently in fourth gear, doing over 200 kilometers an hour across the top of this track, Jared. It's not a track that really lends itself to those sorts of speeds. And with no runoff for the vast majority of this track, with simply concrete walls awaiting the smallest of mistakes, there will be mistakes tonight. There's no doubt about it. Obviously you have to be fast, and this is an incredibly tight field. But ultimately, there's a group of guys that are fast enough to win this, and the winner is going to be the person who makes the least mistakes, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And as always, a field full of absolutely top quality races. So really excited to see what comes of tonight. Of course, only round 2 of this series, so very, very early on, but still plenty to play for ahead of us in this 10-round season. And a lot of the drivers very, very close after round 1. Let's take a look, of course, at the results after round 1, and after, of course, all of the bonus points have been calculated. And Matt Vanderkraan finds himself on top, as we will have to try and figure out what on earth has happened there. The points. It's definitely not 0 points, but Matt Vanderkraan does find himself on top of the board with Wayne Walker second place, Jason Spriggs and Anthony Weisman just behind, and then Dean Loxdale and Mark Boynton following up from them. We'll try and get you an updated set of points. The good news is, while we can try and bring that for you, the open qualifying session is already underway, so we're going to head down to the track and start to check out some of the action as these drivers vie for that top spot on the podium. Let's go down to the action right now and see what we've got. Open qualifying tonight, Josh, a little bit different to what we usually see here from the Alliance Sim Racing setup. It's not always an open qualifying set, is it? It's usually a couple of solo laps, and that definitely makes for a different challenge compared to your usual evening of qualifying.
Yeah, it does. It's a challenge all on its own. 36 cars on track tonight means not a huge amount of space for each of these drivers, and being able to position yourself just the right way so that you get the benefit of the cars around you, maybe a little bit of a slipstream down Conrod Straight, for instance, but not finding yourself in the wrong spot, as we just saw there as Matt Vanderkraan came through the top of the mountain there, heading down to what we affectionately know as Metal Grate, with a car pulled up on the right-hand side that has crashed into one of those walls. And he obviously was balked on that lap. I'm not sure.
Does look like
it does look to me that this was... Okay. So yeah, on an outlap, it's not the end of the world, but obviously they're the sorts of things, Jared, that can very quickly derail the session. We do have 20 minutes here tonight, so plenty of time to get themselves, set, get out, do that outlap, and then get going. But one thing that I'll call out, Jared, first flying lap, absolutely tyres at their peak. The second flying lap, the tyres will be pretty good, particularly for the first half, but the drivers will absolutely lose time for the back end of the section. So down Conrod, here into the chase, and then down into Murray's Corner for the very last turn. The drivers will absolutely be losing time already on their second flying lap. So what I think you'll see a lot of tonight is the guys out onto the track, one lap, and then straight back into pits, throw another set of tyres at it and get going again. Probably got time for 3 runs, and maybe on that third run, if you haven't had a good time, you might try and get a second lap in. But not a huge amount of opportunity to set many laps, Jared. It's going to be important to get out there and get going. We have started to see some cars throwing up some numbers. With Jamie Knight, it is Jamie McKnight straight to the top with a 2-minute 7.4. For those who maybe haven't seen iRacing at Bathurst for a while, 2-minute 7 seems pretty slow, but compared to the Gen 2 cars, Jared, these new Gen 3 cars are a couple of seconds a lot slower.
Yeah, and even so, this is it's absolutely a very quick set of laps we're seeing, and I'd expect no less from these drivers. It is a pack that's just made up of some of the quickest names you're going to find anywhere, as we see Anthony Bozeman moves to the top with a 2.731, just ahead of John Latham as well with a 7.37. The separation we've already got here, and Bathurst being a favourite track for a lot of these guys, they're so accustomed to it. They know this place inside out and back to front, and nothing makes that more evident than the fact that our top 15 are separated by 0.99 of a second from front to back. That is just phenomenally close, and I've got to be honest, I'm a little happy we're not doing a shootout session here tonight, because you'd feel bad for anyone missing out on that top 10 by just a fraction of a second.
You're too kind, Jared. Personally, I love a top 10, especially at Bathurst. And if you're 11th, that's your own darn fault for not being fast enough. One thing that I will call out, and like I said, these cars are a fair bit slower than the Gen 2. A lot of these guys won't have been here since Gen 2 raced. Obviously, none of the ASR races in the last season, which was the first in Gen 3, did come and visit Mount Panorama. These cars, very, very difficult to drive at Bathurst when compared to the Gen 2. So certainly across the top of the mountain, basically no downforce on these cars. And where the Gen 2, felt reasonably planted across the top, particularly when you're on power, these Gen 3s very, very difficult to dance up through Reed, Sulman, and then even around past McPhillamy as you head towards Skyline. Very difficult to keep these cars pointing in the direction that you want and keeping the speed in. So it's a different challenge for these guys tonight, and they're going to be aided by their knowledge of the track. But at the end of the day, it's a challenge that they haven't faced in these cars yet. And we do see our first 6 of the night, Matt Vanderkraan to the top with a 206.973, putting him over a 10th clear of Jamie Dyke in second. So the usual ASR name of Matt Vanderkraan at the top, and one of our new guys in Jamie Dyke straight up there into second. So Jamie has had the opportunity. He raced in a 400-kilometre race with another league that has been running the Gen 3. So Jamie's got a little bit of history here in the Gen 3 car, and that may just help him out tonight.
Yeah, certainly something he'll be looking to rely on. We know he's quick, so he's no stranger to these cars or to this track, and showing all of his class, of course, up in P2 right now. We're just watching Troy Sipple at the moment make his way around a little further back, but always interesting to see Troy and Dylan, his son, side by side in terms of timing here. 23rd and 24th respectively. Big
That was
slide.
a huge moment, Jared.
What a save that was. Huge slide, and understandably he's pulled over for a change of underwear, I suspect, because that was a big one. You don't often survive a slide like that as you come down towards the cutting.
That moment actually started all the way up at Skyline, Jared, and as Troy came over the crest at Skyline, the car got just a little bit flighty and a little bit of oversteer in the right-hand turn as you go into Skyline, and that slide followed all the way down through the S's, and then he finally gathered it up just before the dipper. But that was a pretty big moment and a nice little display of car control to get that pulled up without redecorating any of the concrete fences up there.
I swear, I'm going to have to start a bit of a swear jar of my own here, I reckon, Josh. The number of times that I look at the cutting in the wall as you get to the dipper and go, the cutting, honestly, I owe some money back to the sim racing community every time I do that here at Bathurst. It's sacrilege.
It is, especially at a track like this. You should know your corners, your corner names a little bit.
Have a look at this. I'm sorry to jump in, but Mark Poynton, Frog Leap Juice Racing, a 206.98, .002 off the back of Vanderkraan. That is so close and yet so far. He'll be stoked with that time, I'm sure. But geez, that was a great lap from Poynton as well.
Yeah, fantastic lap, and at worst, I should say that if he stays where he is, at least he's still on the front row. So he won't be too disappointed in that. But to put in over 120 seconds of work only to pull up 0.002 of a second short, it's got to be a little bit disappointing, right?
Oh, got to be, but it really does speak to the calibre of driver that this series is attracting. We've had so many new names join this season. Mark Poynton is one of them. And look, I'm familiar with the Frog Leap Juice Racing team. You do see them around quite a number of events. But we haven't seen them here with ASR, and immediately Poynton is showing us that he's got the goods to compete with the very best from last season. You've got names like Anthony Weismer in there, who's comparative to where he was last season. You'd almost say he's struggling in P5. You're so used to seeing some of these names dominate. And speaking of other names, Wayne Walker, 206.5, obliterates Matt Vanderkraan's time. You've got to say, like 4/10 around Bathurst is not easy to find. And Wayne Walker, another one, the Accelerate Sim Racing team, no stranger to this series, but Wayne Walker has made his presence felt in round one and looks like doing so again here for round two. As we start to get towards the final 5 minutes of qualifying, these guys will have, at best, maybe another 2 or 3 laps in them before they reach the end of qualifying. So we're getting very, very close to seeing how our grid will start for tonight's 35 lap single race, 2 compulsory pit stops across the race distance. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of strategy is employed this week, because we don't have, unless I've missed some late breaking news, we don't have the fuel restriction that we did last week, Josh. So it's not going to be about how much fuel is needed to get to the end. You're not going to need to think about fuel saving so much as fuel load management to minimise your weight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to go for a bit of a look there, Jared. I'll be honest that I made a very conscious effort, although we do see there, I think that may have been the Frog Leap Juice Racing car of Mark Poynton that we just saw going into the wall at turn 2. So he will likely not get a chance to get back out and have another go. We have seen Jason Spriggs now up into second with a 206.8. So some of those fast times starting to come out. And one thing that I just want to call out, Jared, just before we get into the last flurry of times, I'm just going to read out some gaps in between cars to give our viewers an understanding of how tight everything is. 0.04, 0.08, 0.12, 0.08, 0.06, 0.07, 0.06 and 0.03, the gap in between all of our cars in the top 10. And that does continue the whole way down through this field. If these drivers can find 1.5 tenths of a second across this 2-minute lap, they will pick up 2, 3, maybe even 4 positions, which is just phenomenal to consider how close these cars are. Although Wayne Walker has 0.33 to the car behind. As I cast my eye down the field, that is almost the biggest gap between two positions for the entire field of 36 cars. There's only 2 gaps bigger that I can find, and that shows just how fast that lap was of Wayne's to get out the front and put in a 2:06.5. You know, that is fast in these Gen 3 cars. He has done a fantastic job.
It's just nutty, isn't it? Like, nowhere else but Alliance Sim Racing do you see these sort of gaps right throughout the field. The quality of this competition is almost next to none, bar some of the Logitech G Pro events and similar, right? That's like, you've got to start looking at professional leagues before you start to get drivers of this caliber all gathered together in one place. And that's no shade on any of the other amazing leagues that are out there, but just these guys know these supercars so well and drive them so consistently that you take a car like Gen 3 and you know it's hard to pass at the best of times, but you put drivers that are so evenly matched in skill in it, and really it is only the fact that they're driving it on such the absolute upper edge of the performance envelope that the mistakes happen that allow passes to actually be made on a lap around here. If it wasn't for that, you'd never see them actually change from the starting lineup. They're just all so very evenly matched right throughout.
No, well, and of course, Joe, that's one of the things that we laugh about in the real world of people that talk about, you know, that race was boring because there wasn't many passing opportunities. You know, we take our cars, we put them on track, we see who's the fastest, and then we line them up in order of fastest to slowest. It goes without saying that passing is a very difficult thing to do in motorsport. In theory, you have to get past someone that's faster than you. But I think that what we're seeing here is, as you said, an incredibly good field and a car that is genuinely, you know, designed around being close in times. These cars are meant to be very similar in lap times between drivers, and these guys are all doing a fantastic job of laying down these times. And I can assure the viewers from my own experience that, you know, putting in a lap that's quite good and feeling that, you know, we've done a good job, and then looking at the times and thinking to myself, wow, if only I'd been 1/10 of a second faster, I would have picked up 3 spots. It's you know, it's equal parts exhilarating and frustrating, I can assure you that. And there'll be plenty of drivers, there'll be plenty of stories tonight, Jared. I can assure you that up and down this field, every single driver will be able to tell you how much further they would have qualified, or how much further forward they would have qualified if they just would have hit that one braking marker exactly, or, you know, I was a tyre width wide at this apex. There's going to be all these stories about, if I just could have got to this point, you know, I would have been 5th, or I would have been 4 spots ahead. And the funniest bit about that, I always find, is that every driver has one of those stories. So you know, obviously we all make little mistakes that we do throughout our qualifying runs.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The slimmest of margins can make the biggest of differences at any racetrack, but realistically, once you're on the grid, all bets are off. Those gaps cease to exist as you battle it out, because of course hot lapping and qualifying, even open qualifying, is so very different to race pace and actually being up against other drivers on track for 35 laps of Bathurst. As we wait for some of our last drivers to just finish off their final laps. One of the joys of open qualifying doesn't just kick straight on out of the qualifying session, so I always appreciate it. It gives you massive slide there from Alex Kidas, the Old Mate Son's entry, saving it as he pushes hard down through the dipper and down towards Forest Elbow, looking to improve his position at the last gasp effort of qualifying here. So currently sitting in 15th, and so far looking to improve his time a little, but still a long way to go. He's still got to nail the exit as it comes down Conrod Straight and towards the chase. It's going to be a very, very interesting race tonight. Looking at how we're lining up so far, I can't imagine Kidas is going to push too much further up through the field, but you never know. Anything can happen from here. I noticed that it does appear like Scott Rankin's on an outlap, so he's managed to sneak out of the pits just in time, so he may actually get a full lap all to himself here. We'll have to wait and see. John Latham also is on his way around. Oh, that's disappointing for Alex. That last moment slide is going to take all of the pace out of that lap, and it won't be good enough to improve his position, unfortunately. Let's go and take a look. Scott Rankin is on his way up the mountain, so it does look like he's going to have an opportunity to potentially get another lap in here. And
it will pull him up at the completion of this lap, but he may be looking, Jared, for a line that he needs to take. There might be something in particular that he wants to practice, and it may just be an opportunity, to get out and do one more lap. Maybe he's made a change to his hardware or something in his sim and wants to have one last little bit. But he's certainly not going to get to put another time in unless I am incredibly mistaken. But a good opportunity to be out on track and have a chance to have a look around one last time.
Absolutely, it will be. John Latham makes his way around. He's still got a flying lap going on here, so iRacing being very kind. We'll see what he does with this extra bit of time that he's got up his sleeve. Scott Rankin continues to roll around. Looks like he stopped just after Forest Elbow. So John Latham now makes his way down and around. Chances here of him improving his time. Oh, hello. Oh, I wondered for a moment there if Scott Rankin was doing a bit of the sneaky and looking to give him a bit of a tow, but thankfully none of that going on here tonight. So it's all on Latham now to try and improve his time. So far, not looking like it's going to move too much further up, but you've got to give it your best at this point, don't you, Josh?
Yeah, you do. Look, he's just ticked past the 2:06 mark, so this is not a fast lap by any stretch of the imagination. But I'll tell you what, if your lap time doesn't look fast, you might want to make your car look fast, and that thing looks absolutely unreal. What a fantastic looking car that John Latham has put together there.
As we wait for the grid, we'll take you through what's ahead of us here in just a moment, but we are getting ready to go underway as the drivers head out for their last chance at warm-up. We'll take a look down on track in just a moment. So do take a look back at the results from qualifying. This is how they should stack up, barring any changes from race control, and I can't imagine there will be any at this stage. Wayne Walker takes the pole position and will be alongside his teammate Jason Spriggs, just 0.3 behind. And honestly, a just staggeringly quick lap from Wayne Walker. 2:06.5 is pretty next level. And considering these guys are doing this with a fixed setup on these cars, it's hard to believe there's that much extra in it that the Walker's managed to find. So we'll see how he puts that into practice with the opportunity off the starting row of the race here tonight. Matt Vanderkraan finds himself on the second row alongside Mark Point, and then Jamie Dyke and Anthony Bismarck, followed by David Coleman and Scott Rankin, and Dean Logsdale and John Latham round out the top 10. But you've got to think there's not going to be a great deal in this race tonight. I know we've seen some pretty extensive winning margins before, Josh, but I can't say I'm predicting that this evening, Grace.
No, look, I don't think so. There's enough cars here that even if there is, a couple of accidents or something like that that we would expect to see a really good race to the end. I have just done the math, 217 kilometres tonight, one race, 35 laps around that Panorama. That is a long stint. That is going to be difficult for any of our drivers. And as you said, Jared, no fuel restriction or anything like that. However, there is 2 compulsory pit stops. So plenty of math will have gone into it for the guys. They'll all start with the same amount of fuel. And what I don't know is how much that starting fuel is. But obviously there'll be an amount of fuel that they need to take throughout the night. I expect that they'll do tyres at both CPSs, Jared. And the trick will be about knowing how and when to take your fuel. Do you take it all at the start on the first stop and get that pain out of the way early? Do you just split it evenly across 2? I think that some of that is going to be that these drivers have strategy A, strategy B, and strategy C all locked into their head, and it's going to depend on things like safety cars. And I will be very, very surprised, put it on record right now, Jared, that if we get through all of tonight without a safety car, I don't have a hat on, but if I did, I would have eaten it.
Yeah, look, I would be predicting one as well. I reckon it's one of those tracks, isn't it, where even the most minor of accidents is certainly going to bring the safety car out, but we will have to keep our eyes peeled for that. Of course, our usual suspect behind the wheel of the safety car this evening, Nathan Allen, and I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain that I would have seen Tim Nicol getting around in it there, putting in some warm-up laps that in that 24/7 Sim Services GT3 Mustang. And look, why not, right? They're going to be out on track plenty tonight, I'm sure, so probably best that they get a bit of a feel for the track this evening. We're getting close to race start here, guys. We will be right back with you after this word from our primary sponsors. Welcome back, ladies and gents. We are just reaching the end now of this warm-up session. The drivers will be making their way to the grid shortly. I hope you are sitting down with your favourite beverage in hand. Probably something, healthy for you, but if not, whatever. I'm not here to judge. Josh, we've got 35 laps ahead of us. I'm contemplating a prediction at this stage, but I just don't know what to expect from this grid this evening. Let's take a look at how they have lined up. We've got Wayne Walker and Jason Spriggs on the front row ahead of Matt van der Kraan and Mark Poynton, and then Jamie Dyke and Anthony Bisma on the third row ahead of David Coleman and Scott Rankin. Dean Logsdale and John Latham round out the top 10, just pipping Michael Stewart and Jamie McKnight. As we take a look further back through the field, Scott McCune and Law McKee right behind them, and then Damon Fisher and Alex Kidas ahead of Stephen Varga and Jim Caparonis. Damien Cairns and Brian Minogue rounding out your top 20 ahead of Peter Sattler and Rick Vigar. Then Mick Clifton and Troy Sipple line up side by side on row 12. Dylan Sipple and James Hardy behind them. Todd Martin and Jeff Arnold a little further back. Then Nick Boisler rejoins tonight. Good to see him back on track alongside Dave Galley, with Andrew Johnston and Michael Power, and then Jack Anderson and David Logsdale rounding out the field for this evening. A whole lot of names that we are all too familiar with, Mr. Harris, and I am excited to see what the first few laps of Bathurst bring here for us this evening.
Yeah, carnage is the word that I'm going to use. I've just got a vibe. It's not based on anything, certainly not based on the talent of the field here, but I've spent a lot of hours across my life watching real race cars at Bathurst, and the first couple of laps are always frantic, and that's in a race that goes for 6 hours. When we talk about the Bathurst 1000, these guys, 35 laps is a long time, sure, but it's not all night, not by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that there's going to be, there's always jostling on the first couple of laps. There's absolutely a requirement to push your way through and grab a couple of positions while tyres are cold, brakes are cold, and the opportunities just throw themselves out there. So I do think that we're in for a couple of frantic few laps. Before we do get started, a couple of things I want to note, Jared. First of all, how cool to see cars stretched all the way around the final corner. We love seeing big grids at Bathurst. That is a cool shot. And secondly, a bunch of people watching with us tonight. We are a delayed broadcast. Hopefully some of our drivers are in. If you are in here, drivers, please don't spoil anything, but do chuck some comments up. I'd love to see a couple of sneaky little jabs at each other when the inevitable carnage does happen. happen. So welcome along, everyone. 35 laps. We're in for a really cool race, and I can't wait to see it get underway. Matty Vanderkraan on the second row, not used to seeing people in front of him. Let's see how he goes. And I think, Scott Rankin has been fast the last couple of rounds, Jared. Starting back in 8th, I think that's a really key opportunity for him to move forward a little bit. There's a couple of predictions for you on some people to watch.
There you go. So calling it early, that's what I like to hear.
I don't know that I've said anything about winning, Jared, by the way. I just said that I think there are a couple of people worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a look at this, though. As you said before, we've got cars queued all the way back, almost to the pit entry. A very, very full grid here this season, and I'd love to see it. It makes for some awesome racing. It is going to make it, of course, difficult for us here in the booth to make sure we do catch everything. So if you're in the chat and you do want to have a look at something, make sure you shout out so we can try and take a look at it for you. G'day to Jack and BG back again tonight. And, of course, Mr. Vanderkraan joins in the chat as well. So looking forward to seeing what he makes of this one. Starting off the second row tonight, and Wayne Walker and Jason Spriggs, to Accelerate Sim Racing entries, will have him all over their mirrors, I'm sure, right from the green flag. We are down to just about a minute to go here. Drivers getting a little bit longer to grid this evening, and fair enough. It's a 35-lap race. Don't really have time for the inevitable ball of nature mid-race, so we're going to have to give them just a little bit of extra time to get themselves sorted. I reckon is the way to go. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, look, they do. The guys deserve that little bit of extra time, but it gives us all the more opportunity to have a look around this absolutely fantastic looking grid. There is some amazing looking cars here, and just the amount of time, effort, and talent that goes into putting a lot of these cars together. And right there, the Fishy Motorsports, one of my personal favourites. Those cars, it doesn't matter what colour they pair with their black base, they always look nice. But there is some genuine talent, Jared, that goes into these liveries, and there's a lot of people that put a lot of time into making sure that their cars look very, very nice when they do rock out onto the grid. How nice they look at the end of the race, well, that's up to the drivers themselves.
It is. Wayne Walker sets himself up on the front row. We are just about at the end of our gridding time. We're getting ready to go racing here at Bathurst. We wait for the word from the starter. The cars rise up on those lockers. And there we are, green flag. We are underway here. Lap 1 of 35 at Bathurst. And immediately the jockeying for position begins. It's incredible to think that some of these drivers are at the opposite end of that straight as we enter turn 1 for the first time. Wayne Walker getting a phenomenal start ahead of Spriggs, Vanderkraan and Poynton, and we come up the first big straight for the first time here. This field already starting to get itself sorted out. We know that ahead of us is going to be it's going to be one of the epic open laps, I am sure, that we've seen so far with this series, much less this season. It's still early days, of course, for this season, but make our way up towards the cutting for the first time, and somehow we seem to have had a clean start from this entire field, which it's impressive any day of the week, but especially here at Bathurst, to have everyone settling in. They're obviously taking a bit of strategy here into the 35-lap race. No time for repairs. We've got to get through nice and clean as we make our way towards Skyline for the very first time. And Josh, from a driver's perspective, it's almost the most nerve-wracking part of this race, isn't it? Is getting underway to begin with and just trying to keep it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can take quite a while here, Jared, to get yourself into the train and feel that you're comfortable. There can be, quite a while of running side by side with a car. And as we do see the 474 of David Logsdale. Very easy to do there, Jared. Some of our drivers may not know, but there's just a little rise in the track there. If you don't pluck the gear early, I find, certainly myself, if you don't pluck the gear early as you come over that rise, get a whole heap of wheel spin, and unfortunately you just immediately end up pointing towards the fence. One thing that I will point out, Jared, some of our eagle-eyed viewers may have picked up, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle at turn 1. I'm not sure who the second car was, but I know that one of the cars was John Latham of Shadow Racing. He had stuck himself into the top 10 in qualifying. He has unfortunately dropped to 20th on lap 1. So I don't believe there's a huge amount of damage to his car, but he did have, let's say, 2/3 of a spin, and by the time he got himself up and running, just car after car after car streamed past on the way up Mountain Straight. So he's got a fair bit of work to do now, unfortunately for him. But, you know, if there's one track that you want to get any bad luck out of the way early, it is Bathurst, as we do now see Wayne Walker come around the final turn for the first time, lap 1 of 35 down, 210 Ks roughly still to go. So when you do tick off that first lap, Jared, and you look down at your dash and you realise that you still have 34 more to go, I can tell you now that it would feel like a long time. I do believe there's been another little issue at turn 1. I can see a bunch of cars falling down. Yeah, there is cars everywhere, Jared. If we can go back and watch that, I don't know whether you can pull that up in the replay, but it looked to me, from what I saw, that there was one small accident early on, and so there we go, just a little bit of a bump early on, and then all hell breaks loose afterwards as I'm not sure who that is. Alex there Kiedis. The 107 car of Alex Kiedis. Yeah, it was slow, and just car after car after car streamed in. So I haven't been able to keep up with all of the names, but what I can tell you is that the number of people that just lost position, not the least of which I'm not sure what's happened, Jared, but I have suddenly looked up and I have got Wayne Walker in 8th. Now, I'm not sure whether that's
that'll
slight timing issue.
No, that'll sort itself out on the next lap. This is, of course, the joys of iRacing and delayed broadcasts. It gets a little bit confused when we do take a look at some of these incidents, but it's well worth going back to. Wayne Walker is absolutely out in front. The front 7 shown on the timing screen right now are unfortunately the victims of that earlier incident. So Walker definitely still out in front. We will no doubt see that update as he makes his way across the line.
They are our friends that may have towed the pits. The way that iRacing works, for those at home who may not know, when you tow the pits, you actually jump forward to the end of lap, and then you have a tow time that is applicable to roughly the amount of time that it would take to tow. So rather than going back a lap, you actually jump forward to the end of the lap that you're on, and then you sit in the pit lane for, let's say 3 minutes at a place like Bathurst, which puts you back to where you are going to be. But that would actually make a bit of sense as to how that all comes about. As we do see now, Wayne Walker comes around on the end of his second lap, and what I'll say, Jared, 1.1 seconds out in front. That's a pretty comfortable lead, I think, and of course, if I'm not mistaken, Jason Spriggs, an Accelerate teammate, sitting in there behind him. So not 100% sure, and I certainly don't want to throw any accusations out there, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Spriggs here hold up Matty Vanderkraan for as long as he possibly can, and just make sure that they do their very best to shore up that stranglehold on the top of the totem pole for Accelerate Sim Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look at them back, and it looks like Nick Boyce has had a bit of a moment as well as Jeff Arnold. Thankfully hasn't cost him much, but he's managed to keep it going. We're just waiting on our timing tower getting reset here, and it looks like we are looking okay. Wayne Walker is now back in front, as it should be, with Spriggs, Vanderkraan and Poynton right behind. Jamie Dyke still in 5th and Anthony Weisman 6th. So really the front end of this field largely unchanged since the start of racing. In fact, the first 9 all still in their position. The real winner so far, after 2 and a bit laps, so early days of course, but Scott McCune finds himself up 3 positions, as the Damon Fisher not too far behind him. So a couple of drivers to watch here tonight, starting to make their way through the field and looking to pick up some of the bigger points on offer up towards the front end. We do have in the pits at the moment, Rick Vargar's in there. It looks as though Michael Stewart got caught up in that one as well. And Alex Kiedis, of course, Mick Clifton, Michael Power, all needing some repairs after, unfortunately getting caught up in that very, very early incident. But we seem to be reasonably comfortably, touch wood, underway right now. Hamish Munro in the chat as well. Thank you, Hamish. Appreciate it, mate. And welcome on back. Good to have a fairly familiar name floating around in here. Always appreciate the help.
One thing that I have just picked up on, Jared, Jack Anderson, no doubt being helped out a little bit by the guys that were involved in that little incident, but he's up 10 to 23, so he's had a great first couple of laps, and he'll be feeling pretty happy when he looks down at the board and realises that he's 10 laps up. So, that's not all people ending up in the pits. So, that's a nice little start for him, and he'll be looking to continue that charge forward. He's a couple of seconds off the car in front, and no doubt at all that he's going to see, he's got a nice little bit of clear air now and going to be looking to move forward. But we do now focus in on the battle for 8th. As we see McCune here with Jamie McKnight, I think that is of... my apologies. That was McCune moving around all behind Dean Logsdale. How could I mistake the car of Dean Logsdale? That absolutely fantastic looking red and chrome NZ Mustang. But these guys absolutely going at it, tucked in there, nose to tail. I've talked about this before, Jared. Very difficult cars to see out of. It's difficult at any track, but Bathurst, not really a track that I particularly enjoyed following behind. So McCune will be doing everything that he can to get around Dean Logsdale, because being tucked up behind the rear wing of a Gen3 supercar is not really where you want to be.
No, not ideal. And just noting, Michael Stewart receiving a drive-through penalty, so it seems that race control have deemed him the cause of all of that earlier incident. So he's served the drive-through and back out on track now, or should be shortly by things. So he's through, done his drive-through, and actually looks like he's gone back in for some repairs as well. So a bit of a double whammy there. You get caught up in these incidents, have some repairs to do, but also serving a drive-through. Really does encourage some safe driving, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And talk about safe driving, or maybe unsafe driving. Jason Spriggs has just brought to our attention that Wayne Walker is currently driving with one foot only. So using his right foot for both accelerator and brake. Left foot got something wrong with it, going for a bit of surgery. So he's got a week off this week, which is going to be a shame. But how impressive! I can assure our viewers out there that these cars are far easier to drive with 2 feet, and being able to do things like blip throttles on the down change without needing to heel toe and all of those sorts of things. For Wayne to be out the front, controlling proceedings, and having put the time on the board that he has with only 1 foot, I'm going to go straight out there. I don't care where he finishes. Driver of the day.
You know what? Can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that. Take a look a little bit further back, and Peter Sattler looking for the move here on Dylan Sippel. Troy Sippel just ahead of them. Sattler has really closed up behind these two, and battling it out here for effectively 19th, with Troy Sippel just up ahead. Not much in it at all, but this is the tricky part about Bathurst, isn't it? You can be so quick tucked in behind one of these cars down the straight, taking advantage of what little slipstream there is off the back of a Gen 3, but making the pass stick around Bathurst, so few opportunities in the absence of mistake. You do see Dylan Sippel go just a little wide there, some sparks off the wall as he makes contact. That's going to allow Sattler to just close that gap a little further, but what it is doing for Troy Sippel out in front is giving him just a little bit more breathing room between himself and this battle going on. So opening that up to almost a second and a half now as they come down through the dipper. Sattler backing it off just a little, allowing a little more space. You don't want to be too close through here, of course, because any sort of misstep from the driver in front, you're going to get caught up in it. There's nowhere to go. No matter how good your reaction times are, you will be into the wall with them. And Sippel into the wall again on the exit of Forest, so he is pushing that car to stay ahead of Sattler. Meanwhile, a bit of overtaking happening, and I suspect that is probably David Logsdale they're coming past. It does look like David Logsdale that they've come past there, who is now a lap down after that early incident. Those repairs really taking a toll on his times. It's always good to see a couple of team cars going at it. Of course, the Quantum Racing team and the Angry Birds Racing team, the founding teams of this league, and certainly no strangers battling it out with each other, but the cars themselves going from strength to strength, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons. And I could sit here and watch this all day, but we've got things going on right up and down through this field. We don't want to miss any of it. Scott McCune still trying to make his way past Dean Logsdale. Hasn't found it yet, but looks for that alternative line. Just gives himself a little bit more room as they come up towards the mountain once again, and Jamie McKnight just tucking in. This is a very, very tight little train they've got going on, and it does look though that they're slowing each other down just enough. You're starting to see the likes of Damon Fisher and Lon McKee just starting to sneak onto the back of it as well. We're going to have a hell of a battle when we get to Conrod Straight at the other side of this. Jim Caperonis and Damien Cairns, it looks like just swapping a few spots behind as well, with Stephen Barger now looking as though he's, it looked like there may just be a bit of an iRacing connection issue actually. Jumps up and down. I was wondering how he's managing to change back and forth so quickly there, Josh.
Yeah, I think that's just a connection issue. One thing that I'll mention here, Jared, you talk about how difficult it is to pass here and so few opportunities. Bathurst, absolutely the tale of two tracks. The bottom end of the track, big braking areas, very traditional 90-degree corners, great passing opportunities into, from this point on, they've got the Chase, they've got Murray's, they've got Hell's Corner, and then they've got Griffin's Bend up at turn 2. All of those corners, each one of them is a fantastic passing opportunity, all with their own, little intricacies that make it easier or harder to pass. But then once you get out of Griffin's, the next half of the track, absolutely nowhere to pass at all. And so if you don't get the pass done down the bottom, and then you end up behind at Griffin's, you've just got to sit there for the rest of the lap. We do see I do believe it might have been Jamie McKnight diving in. So the first of our pits, the first of our CPS is starting to happen on lap 7. So he has had enough of the train. He wants a little bit of clear air. So Jamie McKnight is in. You're going to set of fresh tyres, and we talk about it every week, Jared, but the undercut is pretty prevalent in these vehicles. So Jamie McKnight, the plan here, I can assure you, is get in, get some fresh boots on, put in some nice, quick, fast laps while he's all on his own on the track. And by the time that Logsdale, McCune, maybe even Fisher, etc., by the time that they all pit, Jamie McKnight will be hoping to be a number of seconds up the road. It's a bold strategy. It's very early to pit. 28 laps on only one stop from this point on. That's a couple of decent length stints. But if there's anyone that knows their way around these cars and these setups, and how they will react, it's probably Jamie McKnight. He actually builds these setups for all of these guys. So he's got his head around how these cars perform, and obviously he's confident that he can get to the end.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go, of course. Lap 7 now of 35, and everyone just starting to settle into their rhythm. Speaking of Jamie's, Jamie Dyke in the chat doesn't know what's worse, a broken foot or racing on a single 27-inch screen with CSL pedals. Look, sitting in 5th right now, Jamie Dyke, I suspect you've got nothing to complain about at this stage.
Well, I'll tell you, Jared, I'm going to make the call out. Whenever I hear comments like I race on a single 27-inch screen on a set of CSL pedals, just for your understanding, Jamie, I will now go home and cry myself to sleep tonight because of the amount of money that I have invested into being incredibly slow. So we do now see the 24/7 Sim Services safety car out on track, a new livery, the first time that we have seen this car this season, and goodness gracious me, doesn't it look absolutely fantastic. I'm not 100% sure where the issue is, but we will see the guys funnel through pit lane. They are all going to take the opportunity, and unfortunately this could be a little bit of a disaster for Jamie McKnight. We'll see where he does come out, but obviously he was hoping to have a number of laps all to himself and put in some time in fresh air. Here he does come. He is absolutely still full noise. He is using the yellow flags that he's seeing out on track. They are affectionately known as the catch-up flag, and he is doing everything he can, although he's going to dive back into pit. So this is an interesting strategy, Jared, one that I don't think is too bad. Jamie McKnight, he's seen where everyone is. He's realised that he's a shot duck no matter what. People are already funneling out of pit lane. So he is going to take the opportunity, I expect, to put the rest of his fuel in what is essentially a free kick. So the last stop that he makes, unless he's going to try and do the 27 laps on one set of tyres, which he may be going to do. But the other thing that he might be doing is taking all the fuel that he needs, and when he next stops, he's only got 9 seconds for a fresh set of boots, and then he's back out on track again. So some interesting strategy to play, and Jamie McKnight is going to be just about dead last of those that are still on the lead lap. But it's going to be very interesting from this point forward to see how he goes and how he's able to climb back through the field over the rest of this race.
On that note, only 10 seconds in the pit box there, so Jamie McKnight spending very, very little time in the pits. And you've got to think that may actually have been him just grabbing a fresh set of tyres so that he's on freshies like everyone else at this point to minimise the damage here. Look, had it not been for the safety car, he was on a great strategy. But that's the way you have to adapt in these races, isn't it? You see a safety car come out, and all of a sudden you've got to think about whether you do jump into the pits along with everybody else, because we've said it before, these tyres are just so good for those first couple of laps that it's hard to argue with the opportunity to put a fresh set on. It may end up meaning that Mr. McKnight needs to make a third stop here tonight, but 27 laps on these tyres, not entirely unheard of. It'll be a lot of work for him to keep the car under control, but if he was to try and make the run to the end, he knows that he's had his 2 compulsory stops, so he could, and it's a big ask, but he could actually make something of this and still play it out the right kind of way. Hard to predict at such an early stage, though.
Yeah, look, it is, but Bathurst is notoriously good on tyres, Jared, so these tyres are really well matched to this track, and obviously there is that initial drop off, so we definitely see the initial performance is expelled over the course of 1 or 2 laps, and then I've talked about it before, there's this cliff that the tyres fall off, and then you really settle into this nice pace, and the drop off once you get out of that initial performance window is actually, for a track of this length, is actually not that bad at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jamie is going to attempt to bring himself all the way to the finish. 27 laps, doesn't look like the safety car's pulling away yet, so probably another lap under safety car. Jamie McKnight's probably counting on at least one more safety car throughout the night to cool things off and buy a bit of life back into his tyres. It's definitely possible. It's a long stint. I won't make any excuses for that. But I think that it's quite probably possible, and the time that he would lose to the cars around him when they change tyres may not be as much as you would lose by taking a third pit stop.
Yeah, it's a big question for him. I'm sure they're doing the numbers. The team will be in the chat trying to figure out what the best strategy is at this stage. It does give us a really good opportunity to take a look. Actually, the safety car has gone in on this lap. We've missed the call there from race control, but a late decision perhaps to bring the safety car in on this lap. So Wayne Walker is about to get us underway again as we go green once more. Lap 8 becomes lap 9. And I'm sure these drivers are very happy to have not spent a huge amount of time under safety car, because when you get these tracks, I reckon Bathurst is probably one of the more frustrating tracks to have to complete a full lap under safety car. Maybe the only one I would dislike more would have to be Spa, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. Spa's quite a long lap as well, and one of the joys of the manual safety car that ASR uses is we're not bound by iRacing's rules, so we were able to do a very short safety car period there, reset whatever the issue was. We didn't quite catch what it was, and then get racing as fast as possible again. And obviously for us, that's exactly what we want to see. We're here to watch cars race, not follow around an iRacing generated safety car. So it's good to see these guys back out and about. And I'm not sure what's happened off the start, but Matt Vanderkraan immediately over a second off the back of Visma. That's surprising. Obviously hasn't grabbed the jump all that well, and I'll just call your attention, Walker, Spriggs and Visma, all names that are associated with Accelerate Sim Racing, so those guys having an absolute field day.
Yeah, they're a very, very fast team. They practice a lot of laps here at Bathurst, I am sure, as we make our way back around to Conrod Straight. And starting to pull away here, really. Look, it could be a strategy call as well. taking a look at the times that these guys spent in pits, Van der Kram was in his pit box for almost 5 seconds longer than the front three Accelerate Sim Racing cars. So, you know, maybe a fuel load decision there, and just looking to the longer strategy as we make our way back down towards that start-finish line again. This shot in particular, how often do we get to see cars coming through here and over the crest of Conrod Straight at the same time? Gosh, it's just testament to the size and strength of this field, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic field, and just looking at them here, you know, I've got to say, don't take any you know, misunderstanding of how hard these cars are to drive around Bathurst. And you know, yeah, we've seen a couple of small incidents. I'll say at turn one, and you know, one of them turned into a big incident. But these guys are putting in an absolutely fantastic effort to continue to turn out lap after lap after lap, incredibly similar times, amazing battle packs. There is some genuine driver talent on display tonight, and no one in the field, no matter what position they're in, should think otherwise. Hamish Munro giving us a shout out and asking to have a bit of a look at the battle between Anderson and Troy Sippel, which is exactly where we are looking now. These two guys all the way down in 16th and 17th, and they
which is
are
only
nice and close
mid-pack,
together.
I've got to say. It's only mid-pack, 16th and 17th. That's how big this field is here tonight. We are watching a 16th and 17th mid-pack battle between Troy Sippel and Jack Anderson. While we watch this, I just want to call your attention as well to the name just behind them. You saw him sneak into the back of the shot there. Jamie McKnight starting to make moves. He is up, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 spots from the restart already. So certainly not sticking around. And with that likely third stop, he's probably found himself in a position where he needs to try and make up quite a few positions here to try and make the best of that strategy coming undone a little. Here we go down Conrod Straight once again. We'll take a look a little further forward as Lon McKee goes side by side and makes his way past, carrying a little bit of damage there. Weight reduction, probably not the name of the game here. Scott Rankin retains the position in 9th right now, but all over the back of that car, and just an absolute bevy of cars behind him. Brian Minogue, Scott McCune, as you see Lon McKee go into the pits, no doubt to get that sorted out. John Latham's there, Damon Fisher as well. And here is Troy Sippel and Jack Anderson, nothing separating them right at this point. And Troy Sippel will be desperately trying to hold on to the position. I think Jack Anderson has made, 17 positions at this point from where he started, so he's on the
Jack
move.
Anderson up 17, Jeff Arnold up 11 just behind these guys, and Troy Sippel up 9. They are all out and having an absolute field day. And the point that I was going to make just before, Jared, as you said, and very rightly so, this is a mid-pack battle, as we do now see Anderson go to make a drive up the inside of Sippel. Maybe a little bit of door banging there, but nothing untoward. And that's a fantastic move on a tightened turn 2 through his line. That's absolutely unreal. We do see his car slowing just in front.
Brian Minogue, I think, has had a bit of an issue there. Brian Minogue has had a bit of an issue coming into the cutting, and it does look like it's cost him quite a few positions. Manages to get it going again just in front of Jack Anderson, who's had to slow his roll a little bit to truck him behind, because again, nowhere to really pass there, unfortunately. But this gives Jack Anderson a new target at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And in the way that he's made short work of just about everyone else in front of him today, I don't know that this will take much longer, as Jack Anderson is absolutely intent on moving forward. And is that a name, Jared, that I remember talking about last week and commenting on how far he was moving forward? Are we seeing a repeat performance of someone who's, maybe qualifying isn't their strong suit, but racing in a pack absolutely is?
I suspect you're right. If I'm not mistaken, Jack Anderson was absolutely who we called out as having started at the back of the pack in round 1 and made up a lot of ground in a much shorter race. Look at this, Jamie McKnight going up the inside of Jeff Arnold, pushes the nose in there and looks to take the spot. He's going to find himself on the outside, but does he have the pace as they make their way down towards the final corner here? Todd Martin right on the tail, looking to pick up the scraps if this all goes wrong. McKnight, deep under brakes, is going to go side by side, comes through just ahead. Probably a good choice there from Arnold to just back it off a little bit to avoid the contact, and Jay McKnight picks up another spot up into P17.
It's a pretty fantastic move, and to be fair, it's one that's very typical in a supercar. McKnight there didn't quite have his nose all the way in at the chase and had to wait a couple of quarters to get it done, but get it done he did. And we now flick our attention forward to the battle for 10th as we see Varga up the inside of McCune. That position swapped, and of course now Latham going to do the very best that he can to sneak through. He hasn't been able to. McCune able to drop back into the train. He will be very relieved. I think that on the way out of Griffin's Bend, McCune would have been looking in his mirrors thinking that he was about to get absolutely swallowed on the run up the hill. Excuse me, Jared, but he has been able to very neatly fit in to that train and get back about racing, which is good to see. Big contact with the ball, so easy to do. I made mention at the start, Jared, how hard these cars are to get across the top of the mountain. They're very, very difficult to keep momentum and keep going. And one thing that'll catch you out, if it's been a few laps since you've had a car in front of you, these things don't have much downforce, but they do have some. And as soon as you get in behind the car in front, you lose that downforce on the front bar, and you very easily find yourself wide. So that is contact. It looked like it was pretty side-on-side contact, and it shouldn't do too much damage. But we now see Latham get a far better run out of Forest Elbow, and he has straight away moved forward. He's jumped himself up into 11th. That's a fantastic move. He's now going to stretch the legs out the whole way down Conrod, make sure that he's in front when it comes time to tip it into the chase. McCune, though, he's not going to want to give up. He's going to look for a big braking manoeuvre, but I think that it's all over and done, and that he just needs to settle in and get back about racing and make sure that he doesn't pretty quickly become a target for Fisher.
1/3 of the way through this race distance, and we can see Michael Stewart looking for the opportunity to get past Rick Vigar. Vigar finds himself back in front and starts to push to extend that gap. I'm not quite sure what happened with Stewart there. Didn't look like he had the brakes he was looking for, but position's starting to swap right throughout the field. Further up though, the battle going on here for 15 Logsdale. Take a look at the cars behind it. They move side to side, look at position. Jamie Dyke, Mark Boynton and David Coleman in amongst it as well. So a couple of Fishy Motorsports entries in there. Of course, Coleman, no stranger to making a bit of a run from further back in the pack. We've seen it happen for him before in these cars. So looking forward to seeing just what he can deliver here.
I'll just call out the sporting advantage that Jamie Dyke actually has at the moment. When we consider some of our other drivers maybe racing on 3 32-inch screens, lots of real estate that they've got to look around at, Jared, lots of different things going on. Jamie Dyke sitting there staring at one teeny tiny 27-inch screen. He can see absolutely everything all at once. Doesn't have to move his eyes. I reckon that that's a racing advantage, and that he's onto something, and maybe just a little bit of cheating, might I even say.
Oh, peak gaming performance, nothing but absolute focus on what's right in front of his car. I don't know, Josh Harris, I reckon you might be onto it there.
Just calling it out. Just calling it out. He's very fast, and I've got a lot of real estate that I've got to look at, and I'm very slow. So maybe
that's
I've gone
clearly
the
the
wrong
difference.
way in my setup. Yeah. That's the only difference, Jared. The only difference between Jamie Dyke and me is the size of the screen. There's absolutely no additional talent there at all in someone that is so incredibly fast in these cars.
The size of the screen and perhaps size of your ego, Mr. Harris, as we take a look at Jamie Dyke starting to look for an opportunity to reel in Dean Logsdale. And Matt Vanderkraan not too far ahead will just continue his run. Now that is David Logsdale just pulling off the side in the background. Team AJR. He is, of course, another lap or so down on the leaders, so staying out of the way here back in P32. But Jamie Dyke continues to apply the pressure to the rear bar of Dean Logsdale, and if we take a bit of a look as we head up the straight here, you can see just how tightly tucked in behind Logsdale's Mustang he is, looking for every bit of advantage. 250k an hour coming up on the speedo as they get on the brakes hard, come up through here. The number of times that you'll slide out and hit pedigree walls if you're not careful, it's a much more treacherous corner than it looks. It really is.
It is. It's also a fantastic passing opportunity. You can maintain speed through that corner, whether you're on the inside or the outside, and it gives you a couple of different options. You saw there, Jamie realised very quickly that Dean was defending and just flicked back to the outside, and that sort of stuff, not necessarily aimed at making the pass straight away, but definitely aimed at, if you have a look at Jamie's car, it's bright green. It's very easy to see in your mirrors, and so when it does move around a little bit like that, very easy to distract you, and then the driver in front misses their braking marker, and then before you know it, there's an opportunity to slide up. So Jamie Dyke here employing all of the different skills that he has to be able to hopefully get a pass done. But for the rest of that trip over the top of the mountain, he just had to settle in, and he'll now aim to get a bit of a run, but it looks like Dean Logsdale has had a good run down the hill and through the elbow. So from this far back, I'm not expecting to see a dive at the chase, but stranger things have happened. We do now move up the front as we see Visma starting to put a whole heap of pressure on Spriggs. Are we going to see a little bit of a inter-team or intra-team battle between the Accelerate Sim Racing guys, or are they on the headset to each other just saying, let's just keep moving forward, no pressure, I'm not going to attack you, let's make sure that we put in good laps, or is Spriggs being told here that it's every man for themselves, and he better look in the mirror as much as he looks out the windscreen?
Oh, look, either way, it's going to be great racing, and these two drivers make their way in behind Wayne Walker, who is just comfortably holding that 1 second gap at the moment. He doesn't seem to be looking to extend it too much more at this stage, because the three of them, of course, holding an almost 3 second advantage to Matt Vanderkrone. You can see just creeping up behind. You can see, of course, this pack still going hard at it. Dean Logsdale, Jamie Dyke involved in their little tussle with Mark Poynton and David Coleman getting into it with each other as well. So for a four-car pack to be holding the sort of pace that they are while battling this out, it's very, very impressive to see. Just a question of when someone is going to make a mistake that allows all of this to change in a moment. They make their way past our very, very closely and carefully positioned camera there. I'm glad we managed to take the ball securely, because you've got to wonder if it's going to get sucked off at some point and end up going under the wheels.
It very well may. It very well may. One thing that I'll call out, Jared, right now is if we think that these guys are, doing a fantastic job and trucking along at a pretty rapid speed, on the last lap, these four guys were somewhere in the vicinity of half a second to 7/10 from all of the cars in front of them, all four cars in front. So it's fantastic to see, and we love watching it, but this is absolutely not the fast way to go racing, and these guys are costing themselves time. And if they are hoping that they're going to run down Matt Vanderkrone, let alone any of the three that are another 3 seconds up the road, they probably need to get this sorted out, get themselves into the order that's going to work, and get about moving on up the road, because as things are happening now, these guys are battling and costing all of them time.
Huge amount of debris on the track there from some earlier incidents. It's still starting to clear, but it is going to be affecting the grip that these guys have under brakes as they come down the final corner here at Mount Panorama. We go again, lap 16 now. We're rapidly approaching the halfway point of this race, and you can see there, parked off to the side, is that actually sure who that was. It was parked off to the side there. It might have been one of the lapped vehicles, I suspect, but cannot see who's come off the track through turn 1, so we're trying to keep an eye on that as we see a few cars dipping in for their second pit stop. Roy Sipple, James Hardy, Rick Igar, Todd Martin, Jim Caparonis all coming in. And we'll see how that plays out for them. But 20 laps around Bathurst, not incredibly difficult, but yeah, we will have to see how it plays out. I want to try and figure out who it is. Who it is that's actually found themselves parked off to the side there. That car was looking like it was in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure who it is. I couldn't catch the number either, but what I do know is that 20 laps around here is definitely achievable. the race that I did, the 400k race that I did up here, Jared, we were doing 22 lap stints to break the race into thirds, and it was more than doable. The car still felt quite comfortable after 20 laps, so absolutely we are inside that window to run home and still have a nice car at the end. I'm very interested to see Jamie McKnight. He's up to 15th. He was absolutely buried at the back of the field, so let's see whether he's got another stop or whether he's going to keep on moving forward. It's an exciting time to see how these strategies really start to unfold. We now jump back up to the battle for 5th with Jamie Dyke still all over the back of Logsdale, and interestingly all 4 of them follow each other into the pits. I wouldn't have been surprised there once Logsdale started to go in to have seen Jamie Dyke carry on. However, I do know that we have everyone diving into the pit lane. I wonder whether we have a safety car, Jared.
It is indeed. The safety car has been called out on track, and I am not surprised at all to see that, because I reckon that's probably a little something to do with a car stranded on the side and waiting to have an opportunity to actually jump to the pits. We see these cars coming around. You'll see all of these drivers, I'm sure, diving in. This is going to hurt Jamie McKnight just a little, I suspect, as he was playing a completely different strategy for a lot of these drivers. But in saying that, he now finds himself, having already done his 2 compulsory stops, hasn't gone in on this one, so I reckon that tells us he's betting on a run to the end on these tyres, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he didn't want to see a safety car, because he's now got himself track position, but it has come at the expense of any sort of gap that he had to the cars behind with good tyres. So I think that we'll see McKnight and possibly even Walker. I know that Wayne Walker's back up the front, and if I do just have a bit of a look here, he has also done his stop. The last was on lap 16. So Walker is our what I would call effective leader. We do have obviously McKnight out the front, having done both of his stops, but he has got tyres that are somewhere in the vicinity. They are 10 laps old this lap, so we expect that the guys behind will quickly move past. The interesting one for me, Jamie Dyke up into 2nd place, so potentially took a lot more fuel in the first stop. And when we look at his stop time, Wayne Walker just did 22 seconds, Jamie Dyke 13. So by being able, I talked about this at the start, and understanding all the different ways that we can pit. And Jamie Dyke there, he's been able to, he's taken all of his medicine in that first stop and understood the time that's going to cost him. And as soon as we get around now, everyone dives into the pits. He's got, somewhere in the vicinity of 6 or 7 seconds less than everyone else around him, so buys himself a whole heap of track time. And if I can, the other thing that I'll bring your attention to, he has got a great big Panorama on the side of his car, exactly the same as Jamie McKnight does. So I would not be at all surprised to see Jamie Dyke and Jamie McKnight work together to make sure that Fishy Motorsports gets the best result that they possibly can.
Yeah, still about half the race distance rather to go here. So it's gonna take quite a bit from Jamie McKnight to support Jamie Dyke with those older tyres. But I reckon he'll be up for it. He's going to put all sorts of defensive moves on to hold Wayne Walker up. And of course, that'll give Jamie Dyke the opportunity to perhaps effect a pass at some stage. That said, we know these Fishy boys don't mind battling it out either. So, look, it's always hard to predict what we're going to see from them, and just how hard they're willing to push each other in any given race. When it comes to the end of season, I know it's all bets off, and you take what you get. We see one of the Angry Birds cars making the run down Conrod to pass the safety car, and there he goes. Slight speed differential on the way past the safety car, you've got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a little bit of cooperation from all the other drivers as well to make sure that they nicely stay left. That car will get the wave around, and that essentially gets them out of the train, stops them interfering with anyone that's battling for position, but also gives them one lap back. Obviously, they won't have the ability to get all the way around, but they will be out on their own, plenty of clear air and time to move forward, as we do now see Jamie McKnight take control of the field. He will hold the guys at 80 k's an hour, and then somewhere between this point and the start line, he will have the ability to accelerate at the time of his choosing, and I'm pretty confident that he is going to want to get the jump on the cars behind him. So Wayne Walker and Jamie Dyke into this restart. As we now see the cars come across the line, they are back up and running. Jamie McKnight has had a fantastic jump, immediately pulling 6/10 on Wayne Walker, and Jamie Dyke wasting no time at all, having a bit of a look down the inside at turn one. He's going to try and get the run off there all the way up Mountain Straight. You can see him there now. He is absolutely tucked in. Jamie Dyke would definitely know that this is for the relative race lead. Wayne Walker covering the inside, Jamie Dyke all the way up the outside there, and making sure that he can get this car turned in. Not much kerfuffle going on at this point in the background. As I say that, the two cars coming together, and a huge accident in the background, reminiscent of 2005 in the real track. Can everyone else deep through? That looks to me to be David Coleman and Anthony Visma, who are absolutely falling down through the list, and maybe Poynton as well. Although I think that what we're going to now see is potentially another safety car, because those cars are in a world of hurt. I'm not 100% sure how that's all come about, Jared, but that looked like Coleman and Visma, I expect, to have come together throughout turn two and ended up spinning. We do now see the safety car come back out, and if I call you or your attention, as we do now see the replay, and big impact between those two cars, and unfortunately nowhere for Latham to go. So a huge impact between those guys, and they have now fallen all the way to the bottom, which is disappointing to see. We do see Coleman and Visma get going again, although the car of Poynton is going to have to be recovered by the recovery team. The safety car is back out on track, and what we do know that means, Jared, is that we once again fall back into line, make sure that we reset, clear our minds again, and get ready to go racing. I'm going to ask you though, Jared, I want your prediction and opinion. The famous line is that safety cars breed safety cars. Will we see another one, or do the guys get up and racing?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it? And you know, it's not unusual in particularly, I suppose, less familiar sets of drivers, that everyone does just kind of, you know, jump in and try and go straight away out of the safety car period. I think, you know, coming out of a safety car immediately back into another one, for anyone in the mid pack here, I expect that we'll see them take this next lap after the safety car comes off track again, at a much more sedate pace, because no one wants to end up doing this many laps under safety car back to back, especially, of course, as we know, at Bathurst. I think from memory, the last safety car lap that we took was something like 4 minutes 30, 4 minutes 40 to get around this track. It's 6 kilometers. So, you know, it's going to really chew into the time. It's a lot of time for the tyres to cool down as well. So the drivers need to be aware of that. But yeah, the 24/7 Sim Services safety car getting a workout this evening, and we did say we expected that at the start of the race, didn't we?
Yeah, we absolutely did, and I'm going to make a bold prediction, Jared, that you don't know racing drivers particularly well. I reckon that the guys in the mid-pack are going to see this as a fantastic opportunity for their competitors' tyres to cool out a little bit more, which means that when we get racing again, just like at the start of the race, it's the perfect opportunity to squabble over a position. And rather than there being a sedate next lap, I think that we're going to see a bit of door banging, maybe some cars, you know, niggling on each other's rear bars. Whether that means another safety car, I'm not as sure. But I don't think that the word that I would use, as someone who is usually fairly entrenched in the mid pack, I don't get the pleasure of looking at the safety car all that often. Not a particularly fun place to be, Jared, when you set everyone up, because we're all we're all pretty confident. We've all got nice, appropriate sized egos, and we're all pretty happy to think that we can definitely get past the car in front.
Mate, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with the size of your ego at all. It's perfectly normal and healthy. And I suppose my insight on the driver attitude may be perhaps slightly coloured, that I usually find myself at the very back of these packs. I would have no idea what goes on up in mid-pack with you lot. So look, I'll have to take your word for it, I think, Josh.
And any other word that you can put to it. And I think that this will be the same, Joe. These guys, rightly or wrongly, see these rebunchings as an opportunity to make cheap positions, and they're gonna try and get it done. We talked a lot in the first half of this race where we ran under so much green that these are some incredibly skillful drivers. I'm certainly not suggesting that we're just going to immediately see another safety car, but I do think that there's a whole heap of red mist that's just waiting to descend in the cabins of all of these race cars.
None of these drivers like going slow. We know that. And sitting in behind a safety car, they're going to get itchy, probably. It's really just a question of who puts the foot down, and exactly when we start to see some passing moves try to be made on this next lap. I expect we'll see the safety car, and we're just waiting for confirmation now, and we'll, I'm sure, see the safety car start to pull away shortly. But
I'll jump in, Jared. I'll tell you one bloke who is not upset about this and would be more than happy to spend the next 3 hours behind the safety car letting people just crash into each other, and that is Jamie McKnight. That bloke is out the front. This is another 2 laps that he has not had to worry about people passing, and that is 2 laps closer to getting to the end with those tyres that are older than anyone else in the field.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt his chances, and certainly he'll be thinking about what this might mean. Now, we're not seeing the safety car coming off track just yet. Haven't heard word from race control. If they do make a decision here, it's going to be very, very late in the piece. But look, Jamie McKnight's still continuing to lead the pack around here. But if we are going for another lap under safety car, it's going to be, and it does look that way at this stage, it's going to be a very, very long and slow lap for these drivers. It's going to change some fuel strategies here, I suspect. There's going to be some drivers with quite a bit more fuel than they perhaps had planned to have at this point of the race as we go around for another lap under safety car. And not surprising, considering the state of Mark Boyd's car. It would have taken quite a bit of effort to get that thing off the track and back around to the pits, I am sure. But we make our way again. I would imagine we're coming into the end of this one, but these are always so frustrating as a driver. You just want to get in and get the race done. I don't mind the safety cars on these longer tracks when we are talking about time-based races, but when you're talking laps, you really do start to feel just I don't know if tense is the right word, but it starts to just make you sort of tap the feet a bit and really want to get going again, doesn't it?
I don't know that I can agree with you that on, Jared, and I'll give you, I guess, the other opinion. I have done these safety cars on tracks like Spa on a timed race, and I spent the entire time staring at the countdown clock, just looking at how much of the race was being consumed by the safety car, and just watching my opportunity to pass people slip away from me because, with 10 minutes to go, instead of having 5 laps, I've suddenly got 2. And knowing that, if we get racing again at all, it's going to be a 1-lap dash to the end. So I certainly, when I am in a lapped race like this, and I know exactly how many laps there's going to be, the safety car comes out, I kind of take a breather, I sit back, I relax, I give myself the opportunity to let my hands relax and let my feet relax and just take that time, because I know that it's only 1 lap. It doesn't matter whether I do 1 lap or 2 laps behind the safety car, it's only those laps that I lose, and so I get to go racing again at the end. These guys all know that they've got 15 more laps. Doesn't matter whether they have a safety car or not, they've got 15 more laps to get it done. And so I guess that's the opposite side of the opinion, and I do, I understand where you're coming from in the sense of, sometimes you look at it and you really roll your eyes and you think, oh, gee, we've got hours in front of us if we keep this up. But from the perspective of, racing and trying to get to the front, it usually, just makes it a little bit nicer that you just know that you're only losing the laps that you're going to lose.
It's a fair comment, absolutely, and I guess it all depends on the individual, doesn't it? I've got no patience for it, but I've always got a car ahead of me to chase. I don't know what it's like to look at races either. So Jamie McKnight, probably, you're right, feeling rather comfortable as we see all of these cars heading down through the S's towards the dipper. We are going to take a very, very quick break, and we will be right back to pick the action up at the end of this safety car period. As we come back to the action, and Josh Harris, I'm going to ask you to call this one out for us. I do need to step away for just a moment, but mate, Jamie McKnight has the control, and we are about to go racing again. Safety car in, and it is about to go green once more.
Jamie McKnight has control of the field. He is waiting a long time to get started, certainly far longer than he did at the first restart. He does come around the last corner, around Murray's Bend. When are we going to see Jamie McKnight hit the loud pedal? As it does look like he has now got moving again as we are back under green flag conditions and we are racing. Jamie Dyke immediately looks up the inside. We have a nice long train of cars, everyone in single file. Let's see whose prediction comes to fruition. Do we see a nice sedate first lap and all of our drivers playing in the sand pit together nicely? Or do we see people immediately squabbling for position as Jamie Dyke has immediately moved to make a pass on the outside? And we see a blown engine for Wayne Walker.
Downshift.
So he has tried to throw that in far too hard and has immediately blown the engine. We know that that is a problem in these Gen 3 cars, and we are going to see him trapped there. I'm surprised to see him still trying to move along. Hopefully no one tags him as they come up through the cutting. We are going to see that car pull up somewhere. Is this another safety car? This is an incredibly dangerous part of the track now, up under the trees. We do get to the top of the mountain, cars on the brakes there. Can they get past? This is a huge opportunity for another crash, Jared, and we just hope that everyone gets through there nicely as we do see the number 217, I think it is, car of Wayne Walker continue to limp around. He's doing a fantastic job, I'll say, Jared, to be able to move that car back towards the pits. Every time that I've blown an engine in these things, it is a pretty catastrophic failure, but he's obviously caught it early enough, and so easy to do in these Gen 3 cars, fighting Jamie Dyke there into turn 2 and just pushing a little bit too hard and blowing an engine.
Yeah, it's something we've seen all too often. The downshift, you just they hit that gear shift just one too many times, and these motors just don't have any tolerance at all for it. It really speaks just how highly tuned they are. The fact that he's managed to keep it going and just keep an eye on Wayne Walker, he is still making his way around the track, as we see is that Scott Rankin off the track there and drops a few places as well, but thankfully keeps it moving. And it looks like in the background, Alex Kiedis has had an issue coming up the hill as well. Are we going to see another safety car here? Take a look and see what's happened.
Just giving up the ghost, Jared. That may have been an issue from earlier on in the lap, but that just appears to be a car that has no more forward momentum.
Yeah, look, not ideal in racing conditions. It is something you want to have, is forward momentum as a general rule. It's not been a good night for Alex, unfortunately, and it may just be that he is. And of course, yep, we do have another safety car, would you believe?
I would. I actually would, Jared. That's
no surprise.
That's unfortunately not surprising. And you know, it's look, it's disappointing for these guys. There's no doubt, but we'll bunch everyone up and we'll have an opportunity to go again. Here is the call for the chat. There's still plenty of people watching along with us at home, so give us the predictions. We now have a Fishy Motorsport 1-2. Jamie McKnight kitted last on lap 7. Those tyres are 15 laps old. Jamie Dyke, lap 16, and noting that since lap 16 we have had somewhere in the vicinity of 5 laps under yellow. His tyres have done basically no work. How well do the Fishy boys play together? Is Jamie McKnight going to put his little white flag up and go, you know what, I definitely can't make it home from here, so you know, Jamie Dyke, you can pass me, and I'll do everything that I can to hold Matt Vanderkran off? Or does Jamie McKnight say, no, I'm absolutely in this for the win, and if you think that you want to win it, you've got to pass me, and then potentially invite not only Matt Vanderkran, but the 2 Accelerate Sim Racing cars who, you know, did sit up the front for so many laps in this race. You know, there's a potential to invite them in. So I'm really interested to know in the chat what your predictions are. I don't know how to play this. The Fishy team, they're a big team and they definitely know how to work together. But I have also definitely heard them talking about how important their racing is to each of them individually, and the fact that they are more than willing to race each other on occasion.
We see the race now entering lap 23, and with apologies, some issues on my end there, we've got it sorted. The safety car finally coming into play here, and I tell you what, it's not often you see a safety car called with the cars just coming past. Really, the pit straight. They've had to do a full extra lap, knowing full well that the safety car is waiting for them, and Jamie McKnight will have had to really hold it together and continue to hold the position. I'm not actually completely sure how that one would play against the rules, Josh, for a safety car being called and knowing that they're coming out on track, but you've got a full lap ahead of you. Is it still race on?
Race on in the terms of speed. You can go as fast as you want, but absolutely no passing. Once that safety car's been called, the yellow flags are out, and there is absolutely no passing. So it's actually a reasonably relaxing lap, Jared, because you know that no one's going to make a move on you. You don't have to push it 100%. You back yourself off to, somewhere around that 90-95%. You're very comfortable. You know that you're not likely to make a mistake, and you just cruise around still at a decent clip. So I don't mind those laps where you're just trying to get onto the back of the safety car. But one thing that a question I've got for you, Jared. With the amount of laps that the safety car has done tonight, is it going to have to service CPS at some point for tyres and fuel?
I'm sure they've reached the minimum number of laps at this point. And Nathan Allen, and look, we know he can take a pit stop with the best of them. So I don't know. Do we count it as pit stops for the safety car when they come back in from each of these? I think there's a gap in the rule book here, honestly, and something that will need to be looked at by the race organisers, I suspect, because if it keeps up this way, Nathan Allen may actually end up having completed more laps in that safety car than some of the back markers in this field, and I don't know if he's due to receive points for that.
Okay, sure. I mean, surely, points, right?
Surely.
Yeah, it's just hand them out of pure sympathy of having to drive one of the best sounding GT3 cars in the entire world around at 80 k's an hour or not. So, if you want to talk about commitment, here's a bloke that comes and hangs out with us for a couple of hours and sits in his car in pit lane the whole time, just waiting to be allowed to drive it around at 80 k's an hour. That is absolutely a fair bit of commitment, and we're happy to see it. We thank the whole team at 24/7 Sim Services for the effort that they put in every single race meeting.
Yeah, absolutely awesome setup that Race Control have here, and we've said it before that the difference between a live safety car, let's call it, compared to the iRacing AI is so significant. If memory serves, and it's been a little while since I've seen an AI safety car used in any of the events, but you're talking about, 3 laps generally is the minimum you'll have to serve behind the safety car each and every time it gets called. So the ability to just pull it back in after even 1 lap makes a huge difference to just the fun factor, if nothing else.
Yeah, so you can shorten it by a lap. So you can get away with the iRacing safety car with only doing 2, but it is difficult. You absolutely have to do 1 lap under the safety car, or 2 laps. You cannot pull it in on the first lap. Probably the other thing that a lot of people may not realise, and one of the big advantages of a manual safety car is we being the league get to control the rules of things like pit stops. So iRacing has some rules that don't really translate that well to Australia and our typical racing style over here, and that means that that typically, there's all these weird pit rules that iRacing has implemented because they're a deeply American system. So being able to put the manual safety car in means we get to have rules that make sense to our pits, and generally as a driver it makes the racing a lot more natural and a lot more fun, and it makes that safety car an enjoyable part of racing, not a burden. Enough about that though, we are back racing now. Jamie McKnight, he has gone just ever so slightly earlier, I do believe. No, I have spotted that wrong. He has pulled up, and Jamie Dyke, absolutely wasting no time. He wants to get this pass done into turn 1, and he has timed that to absolute perfection. Is that a little bit of teamwork, or is that just a bloke who absolutely took advantage of the situation that played out in front of him? I don't know, but what I will tell you, Jamie Dyke now, head down, bum up, he is going to get about his work, and he's going to be putting in laps as fast as he possibly can, and Jamie McKnight will now be doing everything that he possibly can to make sure that Matt Vanderkraan and both of the Accelerate Sim Racing cars stay behind him. It's one of those things, even if that wasn't planned, if Jamie McKnight knows that he can't get back in front of Jamie Dyke, and let's face it, with tyres as old as they are, he doesn't hold much hope of passing many people. His strategy now is limiting the people that pass him. But what I would say, is we see another car back in spinning in back play, and not only spinning, but also putting on a cute little donut show for us. As we do look through the field, that is David Logsdale, who is, you are absolutely right, Jared, he's having a tough old night. It's look, it is one of those tracks, it's a confidence track, and if you've lost your confidence, it's going to be an awfully long night. I think that I have seen that car damage already. I expect that David has used up his quick repair already, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that thing sitting in pits for a little while it gets fixed. Back to the front though. Sorry, Jared, you go.
No, Josh, I was going to ask. I had some issues on my end there for a moment, and I'm not sure if I missed something, but Wayne Walker, from being up front, is now in the pits and has been he's been in his pit box for almost 8 minutes. Did he cop some damage somewhere there that I missed?
Wayne Walker was the blown engine, mate. So
of course,
it was Wayne Walker that blew the engine. And whilst we didn't see the safety car come out for it, we did see him falling down through the field. So that's massively disappointing for him. Just back to finish off my point about Jamie McKnight, we know that he's not going to be able to move forward because of his tyres, and so he will now he will have battled with Jamie Dyke, done his best to get his position back, and as a team driver I can tell you that he has immediately now switched to protect my teammate at all costs, as we dive all the way now to the battle for 19th and 20th, and
big contact
and Mackie, Yeah, Mackie absolutely throwing it up the inside of Martin and having to lean on Martin on the way out. As we now look a little bit further forward, Rick Vigor and Michael Stewart side by side on the way into turn 2. Not much room between them, a bit more contact. And Vigor now spins and another accident at turn 2. This has turned into an absolute hotspot tonight. And for all, oh no, as we see another huge accident, a couple of cars in front.
Caught up in it again. Oh, big contact. Big contact there with, what was that? That was Michael Power from Southern Cross Racing that popped that as well. What on earth has happened there? Dave Galley, Mark Poynton, David Logsdale all caught up in it.
That's, look, it's a shame. These guys, have really sort of turned the run from turn 2 to 3 into a hotspot. I was talking a little bit earlier, Jared, about how turn 2 is a fantastic passing opportunity because there's multiple lines through there that are all about the same speed. And really what it does is it gives you the opportunity to get up alongside cars on the way out of turn 2, but you have to get that pass done before turn 3. And we've seen it in the Bathurst 1000 in real life as though there's no hope of stopping that car. That car, if it wasn't damaged enough, I'm not sure who that was, Andrew Johnson, I think you said, if it wasn't damaged enough earlier, unfortunately it is now. I shouldn't laugh and I do apologise, but that was a huge hit into the wall. That was a big hit on the way in, and what a disappointing end to see for that car. No one wants to see any cars, in the fence and pulled up like that. But certainly if it wasn't damaged enough before, it is now. And these guys now all take another deep breath. They make sure that they understand what's going on. We do now only have 9 laps to go, so we're looking at a minimum of 8 racing laps when we get going. Hopefully, surely, we can get through 8 laps to the end without another safety car, Jared.
That's a pretty ambitious statement through what we've seen over the last 5 or 6 laps. I don't think we've ever, in regardless of the length of these laps under safety car, I can't think of a time we've ever seen this many safety cars in a race event here with ASR. It's been a shocker, and we said this at the start of the race. It's one of those where even the most minor of incidents here at Bathurst is going to bring the safety car out because there really is no room to play with. Once a car is in the wall or does end up with that blown motor situation, that's it. You've got to bring the safety car out because there's just no room. There's no runoff. There's nowhere else for those cars to go. So it's the only reasonable way to handle it.
It is, and something about these cars, they look big, Jared. They look aggressive, and they look like the sort of cars that you could really, bang into each other with. We see so much of the racing that these cars do is about leaning on the cars around you, and often to pass someone you have to give them a little bit of a tap in the back and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, these are precision built race cars, and whilst the bumpers are pretty tough and you can certainly bang door to door, when you start doing things like hitting wheels on concrete, the suspension really doesn't last that long, and so even outside of a blown engine, it's so easy to have a crash in these cars, Jared, and just tear an axle out of the back of it, and then suddenly it just won't drive anymore because it's just got a free spinning wheel. So not surprising at all to see cars here that need to be parked up and wait for someone to come and rescue them. And hopefully we can get some clean racing in because I made that point a couple of safety cars ago, Jared, that it's fantastic. As a driver, you know how many laps you've got to go, you get a chance to relax, etc., etc. But I'm probably now in your realm, and it's starting to get a little bit frustrating, particularly if you haven't been involved in any of this. I think this is this the 5th safety car period that we've called? It's definitely the 4th, and I think it might be the 5th. And it is probably now starting to get a little bit frustrating, and hopefully for the sake of everyone in the field, they get the opportunity to race the rest of these laps because for the important purpose that the safety car serves and the way that it does provide some opportunity for drivers to have a rest and all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, these guys all pay to be here. They certainly don't pay to drive around behind a safety car. It doesn't matter how good that thing looks. They are here to go fast, and hopefully this is a single one-lap safety car, and hopefully any minute now we see 24/7 Sim Services safety car go disappearing off the front of the train. We see the field taken under control by Jamie Dyke, and we see some racing, because we want to see racing. These guys want to see racing. And I don't know about you, Jared, but I still can't be sitting here at breakfast time tomorrow while we're trundling around behind the GT3 Mustang safety car.
You know what? It's Friday night. I've got time. We'll go with it. Look, it is looking...
Look, Jamie Dyke saying hello. He obviously doesn't mind how long we hang around there for. The lights flashing on the front of the fishy Mustang.
Yeah, he's comfy, let's say, at the moment. And the safety car, of course, coming in on this lap, so we'll be underway again shortly. Hamish Munro asking in the chat, Jack Anderson, is now up to 10th position, up 23 spots since the start. Tell you what, if he can get his qualifying sorted, he's going to be a real contender at the front end of this pack. This is the sort of pace he's bringing every single week.
Look, regardless of what the man's one-lap speed is, he has racecraft. There's no doubt about that. You don't pass 23 cars around Bathurst without having racecraft, as we do now see Jamie Dyke come around the last corner and get back underway. We are up to race speed, and once again we are off and running. Jamie McKnight has done the very best that he can to follow Jamie Dyke and just stretch the legs back to Matt Vanderkraan, maybe buy himself a lap or two before he's under threat. We head up Mountain Straight for the 27th of 35 times.
And
I am going to do my very best to not say, oh no. However, we do see
he's up and running again,
Nicol has unfortunately had a spin at the last corner. He'll get up and running as we are back to turn 2, our hotspot for the night, and we once again see cars side by side and arguing over position. This is Mr. Varga in 7th spot, and we look even further back now. Todd Martin and David Coleman behind him, Dean Logsdale in front. These guys are all nicely spread out, so hopefully we have the opportunity to start to churn some of these laps out. But if we do look at our totem pole over there on the left-hand side, it is incredible to see how many cars are still well and truly close to the cars around them. All the way back up the front now, as we see Jamie Dyke enter into the S's and head down towards the dipper. Jamie McKnight just 6 tenths behind him, and then Matt Vanderkraan a further half a second back off the back of that. So 3 cars within a second of each other, leading out the front here. Lap 27 of 35. We come out of Forest Elbow, point our way down Conrod Straight as we really let these Gen3 supercars stretch their legs now all the way out to about 290 kilometres an hour, as we get to see the drone shot looking at that beautiful gold Fishy Motorsports car of Jamie McKnight. As we head to the chase, Jared, the fastest touring car corner in the world, that right-hand kick there. And I'm here to tell you that for every bit that it's fun in some other cars, it is absolutely petrifying in a Gen3 supercar. And for these guys to do it 35 times tonight, they will be glad to not have to do it again, I think, by the time that this race is done. As we do now see the other Fishy Motorsport car, David Coleman, unfortunately going for a tour of the sand trap at the end of the chase. Just going to check out the sites and see whether there's any hotel rooms left at the Ridges for next week. He's done with racing, and he wants to know when he gets his spa suite to go and check in and be done with tonight, Jared.
Yeah, look, I can understand that. It's been an interesting race for a lot of these drivers, and it's certainly probably not what they expected this evening, or maybe they did. I don't know. Bathurst is one of those tracks you almost have to plan on things going a little less than to plan as we make our way up again. And I'm a little concerned right now. Michael Stewart and Damon Fisher side by side as we get to this corner, and then of course Scott McCune in amongst it as well. But we seem to have made it through. I think if I take away nothing else from tonight, Josh, it's that we need to speak to our camera crew about setting up a fixed camera on turn 2 here at Bathurst, because we can just sit there all day and watch it happen. I know we've often spoken on our coverage before about the best turns to set up the folding chair to catch all of the crashes in action, and turn to at Bathurst. But not the one I expected, honestly. But tonight it is absolutely delivered, and we are lucky to make it through each and every lap that we do without any further incident. Right now, though, Jamie Dyke is comfortably sitting up front. Jamie McKnight, you know, we spoke about perhaps those tyres not being enough to get him to the end. He's now up 10 spots from the start, and I reckon he's gone from cursing that first safety car this evening to absolutely cheering at the number of hard laps he has managed to save on that rubber.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only thing, in my opinion, that's brought Jamie McKnight the ability to still be fighting on lap 28. And if we look at their last lap times, Jamie McKnight only a tenth and a half slower than Jamie Dyke and actually quicker than Matt Vanderkraan. So there's still a bit of fight left in those tyres, and definitely the opportunity to do 8 or 9 laps behind the safety car has been an absolute blessing for Jamie McKnight. Fantastic to see him up the front and an alternate strategy, providing us with some interesting things to talk about tonight, and some exciting stuff to really comprehend and just make sense of as we see this race prolong, as we now do look at the battle for 16th, as we focus in here on Caperonis, in that absolutely fantastic Southern Cross Racing entry. It is a gorgeous looking car this season, and I can't wait to see more of it over the rest of the season. We do jump forward now. The battle for first, Matt Vanderkraan is all up over the back of Jamie McKnight, less than a quarter of a second, and these cars have formed a nice little trail. I'm not sure how much firepower Jamie McKnight has to really have a lunge at Jamie Dyke, but there is no doubt that Jamie Dyke is not just running away. Is he just racing, at 9/10, Jared, knowing that there's not a huge amount of firepower in the car behind him? Is he just taking the opportunity to be comfortable, circulate around and chew some laps down, so that if Matt Vanderkraan happens to get past Jamie McKnight, he can disappear up the road? Or does Jamie Dyke maybe not have the absolute outright pace that we might have expected him to have once he cleared Jamie McKnight?
But the thing to remember at this point, we think back to the last set of pit stops. Jamie Dyke pitted on lap 16, as did Vanderkraan, Spriggs and Latham, just behind Jamie McKnight. Now, McKnight, we are pretty confident has taken on more than enough fuel to get him to the end, and that was his plan, perhaps from much earlier. However, that may have changed with all the safety cars. He may have been planning splash and dash. But Jamie Dyke only spent 13 seconds in the pit box on lap 16. You compare that to the 19 seconds for Vanderkraan, the 22 for Spriggs, and the 16 for Latham. I actually think Dyke may be playing a little bit of fuel saving here to make sure he's got enough to get to the end. I don't know how much he's put in 13 seconds, whether it's going to be enough to get in there.
I just can't imagine, Jared, with the amount of laps we've spent under safety car, if Jamie Dyke is still needing to fuel save now, then there was no way that he was going to make it home, and he made a catastrophic error in his calculations. And I've raced enough with Jamie Dyke to know that he doesn't make catastrophic errors of that size, as the man himself has dived in to our chat and just said that he's just playing the nice team game, and he's helping out his teammate who has 10 lap older tyres with a little bit of a helping hand and a nice little draft up the straight. So Jamie Dyke is pretty comfortable out the front at the moment. He's doing everything that he can to keep Jamie McKnight screaming along as fast as possible and doing his best to get a 1-2 for Fishy. We have now jumped back. It says the battle for 14th, but honestly, it could be the battle for 14th or 24th. There's that many cars here. They are all just trying to grab a position that they can. Too wide through the cutting is always a brave move, and they are going to have to get this sorted out. You cannot get up underneath the tree and through Reed, Sulman and McPhillippi too wide. They do sort themselves out and get in and line astern, and they will just need to take their medicine, wait their turn, and get back about the fight down Conrod if they're able to. That was if not scary, Jared, some very, very good racing, no doubt about it.
Have a look at how Blake Coleman has left his move onto the racing line. He is absolutely trying to get in the mirrors of Vigard there and put some pressure on as they come down through the dipper. Vigard's car looking a bit worse for wear, and I think Coleman really keen to get a move on and get past him as they come down to Conrod Straight. We'll see the run that he gets out of Forest Elbow here, but he'll be looking for the drive to actually pull away and make this pass. Still a bit of a gap. But you can see Coleman already looking for the move up the side. Does he have the pace as we do come down this back straight once again? He's very, very slowly pulling in Rick Vigard's car, but it's not going to be enough to really put a move on at this stage. So despite all the damage, Vigard's car still a lot of pace in it, mostly cosmetic it would seem, and not affecting his top speed too much.
Coleman, Coleman's definitely fast to be in 21st, Jared. We saw him in 5th position, I think it was, before he was involved in that accident coming out of turn 2. And then as well, we then saw him, have a little trip off through the kiddie litter there at the exit of the chase. So, Coleman's fast and he's in a fast car, and I don't expect that he'll hang around in 21st for very long. As we skip our attention all the way back up the front from one fishy car to two fishy cars, as we do see Matt Vanderkraan. Don't know whether Matt's still in the chat, but I reckon that the feeling right now would be one of frustration, tucked in behind a couple of fishy cars, one of which has tyres significantly older than his own, and this would be, this is where, Jared, the frustration sets in of all those safety cars. So, when the first safety car came out and Matt Vanderkraan found himself in third and he was behind a couple of fishy cars, he had 15 laps still to go, and he had all the time in the world to craft a couple of passes and get himself a win. And then, through no fault of his own, lap after lap after lap just got stolen off of him through safety cars, and that's all part of the game. Don't get me wrong, but this is where I can sense that there would be a level of frustration inside that Angry Birds Motorsport car, and the birds on the front aren't the only angry thing, because he now only has 4 more laps after this one, Jared, to get this pass done, and he has to get a motor on and really make a pass sooner rather than later, rather than being able to craft those couple of passes over 15 laps.
Yeah, it's a big ask too, when we know that Jamie Dyke he's not putting in his fastest laps right now. We know that he's trying to help Ben McKnight along, and when we consider the lap times that we're seeing here, the best lap times we've seen so far tonight in the low 207s out at race pace, we are seeing high 208s right now from these front runners. So definitely not at full pace, but the control of the two fishy drivers out in front, Dyke and McKnight, working together beautifully to keep the pace just at the point where Vanderkraan doesn't have the ability to make a run past and start to really challenge the first place. You can see that really defensive line there from McKnight as he moves out to try and take point. You can see Vanderkraan though right on that rear bar. He is putting all the pressure on, getting, as you said, very, very Rick Feigar has spun on turn 1. Thankfully, it doesn't look like too much damage. He's underway again, so we won't have another safety car here. I was worried for a moment, though, Josh. We've had plenty of them tonight, but I would like to try and finish up with that another one if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. If not for anything else, it's this battle up the front. Why would we want to stop this now? One thing that I noticed, Jared, the fastest couple of cars on that last lap, Jason Spriggs and John Latham, and look at where they are. They have absolutely tucked up on the back. This is now a 5-way battle for first as we do jump on board Matt Vanderkraan's car. You can see there just how steep and tight and twisting that run down the mountain is. Threading the needle in between these concrete walls is a real challenge on this track. And now we set on to Conrod Straight. It is the longest wide open throttle run in all of Australian motorsport, well over a kilometre long. Matt Vanderkraan absolutely tucked up into the slipstream here. We are now over 280 kilometres an hour. We do touch 290 right on the kink, and then a huge braking application from 6th all the way down to 3rd, wiping off the absolute better part of 200 kilometres an hour, Jared, into the chase there. It is a huge ask on the brakes. It is a huge ask on the concentration of the drivers to make sure they get it right at exactly the right time. And it is a huge ask of these cars to do that time and time and time again. We start the 33rd lap, 3 laps to go now. We are at approximately 18 kilometres race distance. We have done 200 kilometres, Jared. We have got 18 to go, and there is less than half a second out the front. We do now jump all the way back to the battle for 14th as we see a pass put on by McCune there on Hardy. and then Dean Logsdale wanted to sneak up the inside, but he just had a bit of a wiggle in the middle of the turn, and that invites Visma in on the party now. So we've got more action on the way up into turn 2. Visma on the outside, not the place he's going to want to be. They think about going 3 wide, and we now see Logsdale throw it in very, very late, and just a little bit of a touch there on Hardy, I think it was, to make that pass, to be able to effect that pass, and the car's still too wide as they come up in towards the cutting. But they do all now dive back into position, and we continue to watch this battle for 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th. It doesn't matter where you are in this field, Jared. If you're within a couple of tenths of the car in front, you are fighting for sheep stations.
It just carries on, doesn't matter where you look. There are battles going on, and it's not just 1 or 2 drivers. It's full packs. And you've got a field this big. You've got multiple packs of 4, 5, 6 cars all fighting it out. We take a look now at Damien Cann, Stephen Barger, Brian McNogue, and Scott Rankin right on his tail as they make their way down onto Conrod. Rankin's not had the best of runs here tonight compared to what we usually see from him, but he's right back amongst it up in P9. And if you look in the very background, you might just see coming under the Ned Whiskey signage, that is Jack Anderson in P10, up 23 spots since the start of this race. Look, again, you said it earlier. I don't think we can do anything other than offer him perhaps a drive of the day. He's going to be challenging our friend Wayne Walker. The slight injury to his foot that he's carrying.
Yeah, maybe they can share the award if everything stays as it is. Jack Anderson's got 4.5 seconds in front and 3.5 seconds behind. I can't imagine a huge amount of change there, but a fantastic drive nonetheless. We are here looking at Rankin and Minogue as we now jump back all the way to the battle that we looked at earlier on in the lap, and we see McCune, a huge amount of smoke in the background. These guys, though, 3 wide on the way into turn 1, braver than me at this part of the race, and Visma manages to sneak through on Hardy there as these guys set about the second last lap of the race. They want every championship point that they can possibly get, and just because they're fighting in the mid-teens doesn't mean that they are going to give up any easier, as we now see Hardy and Clifton going at it just as hard as they have been all race, and they start to climb up the mountain once more. Poynton in the background. Speaking of Poynton, I think it's Poynton, has a wheel that is absolutely not facing where it's meant to be. I was going to say Poynton one more time, Jared, but thought better of it, and I'll stay out of the puns for now. But he is dragging that car around. It looks significantly worse for wear. I have a little bit of a chuckle to myself about just how many different ways those wheels are facing, but doing a fantastic job to drag any speed out of this thing. And, you know, if you want to talk about someone who's determined to get some championship points, here it is. All the way down in 18th and, you know, not parking it up to get the repairs done. He knows that there's only about 8 kilometres of racing left from this point on, and he just wants to get to the end.
Yeah, still plenty of turns to get through, and honestly, you know, the wheel's still turning, so it could be much worse. We'll jump up front because the battle continues here as we come around, rapidly approaching the white flag. You can see there's debris all over the track there from some of those early excursions. It's like these guys clear it, and then of course just gets dragged back on the track the next lap. Just everyone pushing it so hard. There we are, the white flag as we cross the line. This is the final lap, and Jamie Dyke in a commanding position. Jamie McKnight right behind him. Matt Vanderkraan continues to apply pressure. He is looking for those extra couple of spots, but a little way to go. Yeah, Scott Rankin off in the background. You can see just getting back on track there, pushing it a little bit too wide through turn 1. So that's going to take him out of the battle that we are seeing for 6th. That's Damien Kent, Steve Barger back there at the very backward shot. But we'll stay with this up front because this is where all the action is here on the final lap. Lap 35 of 35 here tonight. And I tell you what, it's going to be tight because Vanderkraan is no slouch. He's played a very, very tight strategic game before. I wouldn't be surprised if he's been just saving a little in reserve for this final lap. And you've got to think he's going to make a run here as we do go down at Conrod Straight for the very last time here tonight. I don't know if he's going to have it in him though. The 2 fishy drivers ahead, they're going to make it difficult as they can, but You can see that right now Vanderkruijs is right on the tail of McKnight. He hasn't been that close through the previous lap, so he is setting up for the exit out of Forest Elbow. Let's see what he's got. Is he going to get the run that he needs? That's the question. Come down for the last time here tonight. Now, what can Vanderkruijs do?
I think, judging by this, Jared, that there's not much that Vanderkruijs going to be able to do. Jamie McKnight has just enough of the toe in front that he needs. However, that isn't going to stop Vanderkruijs trying to set himself up for the last corner. Jamie Dyke's pretty comfortable. He's obviously had the word from behind that there will be no attack from Jamie McKnight. He's flashing the lights already. We are looking at potentially a fishy 1-2, the first fishy 1-2 in ASR, certainly since I have been involved. We do now come to Murray's Corner for the very last time. We have a dive on in the background for fourth place, and Spriggs has been able to Latham has been able to steal that off Spriggs. Fantastic move, but we see Jamie Dyke across the line, first place for Fishy Motorsports, second place to Jamie McKnight for Fishy Motorsports. Welcome, Jamie Dyke, to ASR Alliance Sim Racing. Congratulations on your first win. Jamie McKnight, as I said, in second, Matt Vanderkruijs third, Latham in fourth, Spriggs in fifth, Hans, Varga, Minogue, Rankin even with that late off-track moment on the last lap, and Anderson in 10th position, all the way up from 33rd starting place. We then see Sippel, Stewart, Fisher, McHugh, Visma, Hardy, Clifton, Poynton with his wheels facing in all different directions. Martin and Longsdale rounding out the 20. Tough night for Dean Longsdale, and certainly after the end of season 3 and the first race that we saw last week, Jared, tough night for Longsdale. Jeff Arnold in 26th coming across the finish line there with wheels pointing in all different directions. We have now seen a little comment come sneaking in from Hamish Munro. A happy birthday to Mr. Dyke and Mr. McKnight. I'm not sure whether that's for today or for Tuesday when we actually saw this race run. But for whenever it is, gentlemen, happy birthday, Jared. What a fantastic race. What a fantastic finish. A little bit of teamwork there at the end, no doubt. But a fishy 1-2 on the bigger stage at Bathurst. That team will be pretty happy, no doubt.
Oh, you'd have to be, wouldn't you? You couldn't have asked for more, except perhaps to bring a third to complete the podium. But both Dyke and McKnight, in their own ways, and very different strategies tonight, but making the absolute most they could of the multitude of safety cars to manufacture this result. And we welcome to the room right now Jamie Dyke. Mr. Dyke, congratulations. I've got to start by asking, is today your actual birthday or was it Tuesday?
No, that's same. Pissed.
Just the usual.
He's sucking us in, and he's done a bloody good job, if I can say so.
Yeah, it's a bit of an inside joke in the team.
Noted, and we will ignore any further input from Mr. Hamish Munro, I suspect, as he wishes David Coleman a happy birthday as well, and I'm going to assume that's not it either, honestly. Mate, what a stellar drive tonight. How stoked are you with that result?
I'm pretty happy. I didn't think I was going to get the win there, judging off qualifying, and there's some quick boys, but I just got the strategy right. Both me and McKnight on completely altering strategies, made it work and got ourselves to the top. So no, I'm pretty chuffed with that. It's
a pretty long way, Jamie. How opportune were those safety cars? I expected it was a pretty tough start with so many green laps. The breather might have come at the right time, but then alternately, did you get sick of having so many breathers in a row, or did it really play into your strategy and just make it all the easier to get to the end?
No, it played into my strategy. It definitely played into McKnight's. If we didn't have as many as we did, he was tight on fuel. I think once we got to the third or fourth caution, he was good. But no, it was fine. But after my first stop, I ended up taking 6 seconds more fuel than the group around me, and the tow just helped me keep up. And when we got to the next stop, I jumped everyone but Walker.
No, it's a fantastic way to go racing, and I guess new to ASR this season, only a second race in. What are your thoughts on the field from everything that I can see on the outside? It looks like a pretty quick field, mate.
Yeah, very quick field. A lot of people that I've raced against before. Thoroughly enjoying it, and everyone's kind of respectful, and there's not a lot of bumping. I've raced Vanderkrant for ages, and Spriggs and that, and I love it. All the rubbing doors, like no one's killing each other. It's great fun.
Oh, look, it is one of the key. It's one of the key key items in terms of Alliance Sim Racing. We've seen it through all of the seasons so far. It really doesn't matter who's up front. I've never had anyone come into the room with a race win or otherwise complaining about anything even remotely, let's say reportable. Let's say under iRacing Sporting Code. It really is one of the cleanest racing leagues that I think I've seen. Tonight, probably not the cleanest in terms of the number of safety cars that we did see out on track. Just curious, like what was the chatter going on during those safety car periods between yourself and Jamie McKnight? Just how much coordination was there that needed to happen to get this sort of result this evening?
When Dylan was in between us, there was a lot of communication on when we're going to go, what we're going to do, and I think I tried to, like every restart, I tried to dive Dylan into turn 1 and then turn 2. But the moment Dylan blew his engine and then we had that next caution, I told Macca, I'm like, don't tell me when you're going to do it, because I'll throw it up the inside and take the lead. And he probably went off it the last second, and I jumped him. And from then on, it was really, I knew he had 10 lap older tyres, and he said they were good. And that first green lap after I passed him, I think I pulled 0.8 of a gap, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll back it off and keep you behind me.
Fair enough, mate. Look, it's worked out beautifully for you this evening. An absolutely stellar drive and well-deserved points. Obviously, being the single race, quite a few more points on offer, so sets you up well for the rest of the championship. We've still got 8 rounds ahead, though. Curious if there is another track that you're looking forward to more than Bathurst. I know it's a favourite for a lot of the drivers here, but where are we expecting to see your top performance?
I'm not sure on the top performance. I know in the old car I went really well at Mid-Ohio. But I'm not really sure how that's going to go in this car. I haven't done any testing in it yet. Donington, I should be really good. Barber's going to be questionable at best. VIR is also probably going to be pretty questionable, but Interlagos, Daytona, most sport and Winton are probably my pet tracks. So, there's going to be a couple ones that I don't do so well at, but there's some pretty good tracks in there that I will take a really good liking to.
It looks like we can expect to potentially have a few more conversations yet this season. Congratulations on the win tonight. Very, very well deserved, and mate, very much some beers well earned, I think, after copying all of the flack that tonight brought. Congratulations once again, Jamie Dyke winning round 2 here at Bathurst.
Thanks, boys. You have a good night.
Cheers, Jamie. Mr. Harris, look, I don't quite know that I have an actual driver of the day left after what we've seen here tonight. A huge number of moves throughout. But let's go through the leaderboard. Jamie Dyke taking the win ahead of Jamie McKnight, but McKnight up 10 spots from the start and recovered just immensely from that early pit stop that he gambled on. The safety cars that came in between really helped him out. Matt Vanderkram maintaining his position in 3rd. John Latham finishing in 4th position ahead of Jason Spriggs. Damien Cairns up 13 places into 6th. Stephen Varga up 10 into 7th. Brian Minogue up 12 into 8th. Scott Rankin hovered right around where he started, dropping to 9th from his 8th place start. Jack Anderson up a phenomenal 23 positions here tonight. Troy Sipple up 13 into 11th. A stellar result for the boss man himself. Certainly probably not the result he was expecting. I know he's said a few times he was expecting to find himself perhaps a little lower down in the field that got here at the moment. But then Michael Stewart hovers around where he was in 12th, Damon Fisher in 13th ahead of Scott McCune and Anthony Bosma. James Hardy from Quantum Racing up 10 spots into 16th as well. So, look, just a huge number of moves throughout the pack tonight. And I can't think of another time when I've seen so many double-digit gains throughout the field.
No, I think you're right, Jared. But you know, I guess that comes with a long race on a really difficult track. So, you know, like I said at the start, he who keeps his nose cleanest for the race wins. Well, you know, that rings true to people who have a fantastic job or do a fantastic job of keeping their nose clean throughout the race. You know, it's not to discredit the work that they do, Jared, in any way, shape or form, because we saw tonight the amount of cars that fell off the track. It is difficult to keep a supercar on track for 35 laps around Bathurst. You know, by being able to do that, you know, and like you said, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people who made double digits forward. You know, in reality, that's driven by being able to drive really, really cleanly and get those laps in, just lap after lap after lap. So, you know, it's a win. Those who had nice, clean races tonight have all reaped the benefits.
Absolutely. And look, I think despite the efforts of a lot of these drivers, it's got to be Jack Anderson for me tonight. We haven't seen him come and have a chat to us in the booth yet, but up 23 spots. I've got to wonder, is it daylight savings that's stopping you from getting to qualifying in time or something like that? Because this is 2 rounds in a row that we've had someone who is completely unknown to me, I'll be honest. I've not seen him race before this season, but just continues to make huge gains through the field every single time. One to watch for me, because he's going to start to feature in the standings for the championship, even without taking out a podium position so far. Just the consistency and pace that Anderson has is something to behold. And we didn't spend much time watching him tonight, but certainly watched him on the timing tower. And if you're taking notes at home, folks, he's certainly one that I would just write down the name of to keep an eye out throughout the rest of the season. But as it stands, expecting to see Fishy Motorsports and Accelerate Sim Racing really fighting it out at the top of the leaderboard as we head to round 3 next week, which is, of course, Mid-Ohio. It's a very different track. It's not one that I've driven much of at all before, Josh, so I don't know if you can tell us much about what we can expect from the supercars there on Tuesday night.
No, I absolutely can't, Jared. It's going to be very new to me as well, and just quietly between you and me, I'm probably going to have to get out on track and do a little bit of practice so that I sound just a little bit like I know what I'm talking about.
You and me both, mate, but thankfully we've got the weekend ahead of us, as does everyone else at home watching. And so we're going to let you get on with your weekends after sticking with us throughout the race here tonight. We thank you so much for your company. Josh, of course, joining me here in the booth for Simple Racing Broadcast, bringing this to you on behalf of Quantum Tint Solutions and AA West Automotive, the major sponsors of the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercars Series. Season 4 off to an absolutely cracking start. Do make sure you join us again on Tuesday night for round 3 as we head to Mid-Ohio. And hopefully you'll hear us talk about the truck a little bit like we know what we're doing. If not, well, hey, come along for the laugh all the same. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the action here across this season. And of course, keep in mind that we are getting closer and closer to our second round of the Endurance Championship here with ASR coming up in June. So keep an eye out for that. We'll talk more about that next week, of course, though. Until then, do stay safe, keep your car on track, and till our race hits Ohio next week, it is goodbye for now.